All right, in this lesson, we are going to talk about finding slope. Okay, so I can find slope is the objective for this lesson. What is slope? The slope of a line is a ratio of the change in y, which is the rise, to the change in x, which is the run between any 2 points. There are several different ways you could find slope, and we're going to write all of them out. The first way you could find slope is to find rise over run. How much it goes up and down over how much it goes left and right. Another way you'll see slope is the change in y. So how much does it change in my y direction over how much does it change in my x direction. However, the most common way you'll see slope written is y sub 2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So make sure you have all this written down. Remember, you could always pause this video if I'm ever going too quickly, rewatch this part. I do expect that all students are writing this down. I will be checking notes on the next school day to give you credit for just watching this video. An example of a positive slope is if something rises from left to right. So notice how this line rises, or it increases, or the slope goes higher and higher from left to right. A negative slope would be the opposite. This is if the line falls from left to right. Notice how this line would fall. This is what we call a negative slope and a positive slope. So here's how you find the slope of the line. Notice there's two ways you can do it. I will show, for this way, I will do rise over run. So remember, it's the change in y over the change in x. So how much does it go up and down by versus how much it goes left and right by. So let's start from the lower point A to the upper point B. How much does it go up and down? If I were to draw arrows, right, it looks like it goes up 4. So it goes up 4, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, it looks like it goes over right 6. So another thing that I would write would be up equals positive, down equals negative, right equals positive, and left equals negative. Okay, so this is going to be really important as you go on with this lesson and even in future lessons as well. So if I've up 4, that's going to be positive 4 over positive 6. And don't forget to simplify. So technically the slope of the line is 2/3. The variable you'll see quite a bit is going to be the variable m. M means slope. I don't know why they chose to use the letter M for slope, but that's just how they say what slope is. Okay, so how much it goes up and down from point to point, that is how you find slope. Let's do another example together to find slope. It doesn't matter from where you go. So for this one, we're going to go from point A to point B. We're going to go from the top one to the bottom one. You could go from bottom to top. You'll get the same answer. If I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. So it looks like I'm going down 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Right 4. Remember, down means negative. So this is going to equal -3 over positive 4. So my slope is -3 over 4. You don't have to draw arrows for every single problem, but for me, it just helps to visualize because I know sometimes it's hard to count just with my fingers or with the pencil. So whatever is beneficial for you. Next, let's talk about this. Well, how much does it go up and down? Hey, it goes up and down 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means it goes up 4. Does it go left or right at all? It doesn't move left or right at all, so it's just 0. Anytime you have 4 over 0, that means the slope of this line is going to be undefined. Why? Because you can't ever divide a number by 0, okay? So anytime you have 0 in the denominator, that means it is undefined. Let's do this example as well. How much does it go up and down? Well, it doesn't really go up and down at all, but it goes right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right 7. So you have 0 over 7. Anytime you have 0 on top, that means my slope is going to be 0. So remember how the other day we talked about Hoy and Vux? We said that H represented horizontal lines, Y represents Y equals a number, right? V, we said, was vertical lines. X is X equals a number. Now we're going to talk about the middle part. This is actually 0. That means my slope is 0. So all horizontal lines, my slope is going to equal 0. All vertical lines, my slope is going to equal undefined. So anytime you have a vertical line like that goes up and down, that means my M is undefined. You don't have to show your work actually. Anytime you have a line that goes left and right, my slope is always going to be 0. All right, so this is how you use rise over run for graphs to find your slope. So why don't you work on 1 through 6 on your own? Excuse me, just 1 through 3 on your own. And then we're actually going to do 4 or 5 together. And then I'll let you do 6 on your own afterwards. So just 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll do 4 and 5 together. All right, so moving on. So remember, we're not given a graph. So if we're not given a graph, you have to use a formula. The formula is going to be M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You do need to write this down every single time you're doing this until you have it memorized. I would really recommend writing it down every single time on your homework and on your notes because it'll only help you out and it'll eliminate any mistakes. The next thing you're going to do is label your points. This would be x1, y1, and the next one would be x2, y2. And then from here, you're just plugging it in, right? It doesn't matter which one you label as x1, y1, or x2, y2. You just can't mix and match. So if the first one is x1, y1, the second one has to be x2, y2. So from here, you're going to substitute instead of y2, you're going to plug in negative 2. This is going to equal negative 2 minus, and instead of y1, you're going to plug in negative 2 again, right? Because it's also negative 2, right? And then instead of x2, I'm going to plug in 7. And instead of x1, I'm going to plug in 1, 7 minus 1. Anytime you have negative numbers, I would always plug these into parentheses. You have negative 2 minus negative 2, keep, change. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0 over 6. 0 divided by 6 is 0. That means the slope of these 2 points is 0. Remember, if anytime you have a slope of 0, that means it's going to be a horizontal line. All right? Let's also do this one together as well. Remember, step 1, if you're given 2 points, write out the formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then label your points. x1, y1, x2, y2. So instead of y2, I'm going to plug in negative 5. Instead of y1, I'm going to plug in negative 3. Instead of x2, I'm going to plug in negative 3. Instead of x1, I'm also going to plug in negative 3. And then now let's subtract. The negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2 over negative 3 plus 3. Remember, keep changes 0. Negative 2 over 0, this is going to equal undefined. Anytime you have 0 in your denominator, that'll always be undefined. So that means this is going to be a vertical line. Okay? Using the formula, why don't you try number 6 on your own? Okay? Using this formula, why don't you try number 6 on your own? All right, last example, the points in the table line on line. How can you find the slope of the line from the table? What is the slope If you also have a table, you're going to have to use the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so now I would just pick any 2 points. Remember, it's x and y on top and bottom. I would choose these two and maybe these two. Whatever numbers are easier for you, it really doesn't matter. But remember, whatever you circle, it would be x1, y1, x2, y2. And then from here, it's plug and chug. y2 is equal to 6, y1 is equal to 8, x2 is equal to 4, x1 is equal to 1. You subtract these two, so 6 minus 8 is negative 2, 4 minus 1 is 3, so the slope of my line is negative 2 over 3. Okay, so if I ever went too fast, make sure rewind this video and watch it again so that it will help you out. Why don't you do 7, 8 on your own, and once you finish, you can circle today's level of understanding, and we'll go over questions the next day. You do have homework today. Make sure you check Schoology to see what homework assignment you have, and you complete that before the next day's class. If you have any questions, circle them, highlight them, and we'll go over them tomorrow. Good luck, everyone.